Marriage is the oldest institution in human history, but only recently did we start using it as something that should be romanticized and something that you do for love, for vibes, or because you just feel this inner compulsion to marry this person. Okay, for most of human history, marriage was about purpose, stability, community, family, land, and all these different things. But now we've been taught to chase chemistry and not compatibility. And look, as a Muslim, we understand that you're not allowed to date. But then as a Muslim in the Western world, where you see dating and that becoming the norm and long talking stages, how do you then navigate the murky waters? Because here's the reality, right? Every time you go to an Islamic lecture about marriage, it's about being married, right? The etiquettes of marriage, what to do when you are married, when you have gotten to the stage of going past everything. But there's not many things that I've been talking about in the etiquette of getting to know one another, how we should get to know one another. And yes, there's the simple ones, the hadith where Sa'atam said a woman is married for 4 reasons: her beauty, her lineage, her character, and her deen. But then how do we discover those things? Beauty is something that we can easily see. How do we know anything about her character? Exactly, right? And if you're in a talking stage, you'll realize that easy to get burnt out. Very, very much. And what I'm holding right now is the physical book, my book, Can I Ask You a Question? 150 Essentials for Blessed and Successful Marriage. And what you see on the screen right now is basically the digital version. Look, if you've been burnt out in talking stages, I've been there, right? But you don't have to stay stuck forever, right? So we're going to go through chapter 1, which is hopeful. And this is just the beginning. So I'll walk you through all the chapters. I'll walk through chapter 2 and everything. This is a video because a lot of people have said to me, Wahab, I'll be very honest with you, I don't read. Different chapters, what they mean, what you were like, what message were you trying to get across? And that's exactly what we're here for, right? Because in all reality, I was just as much as confused as you are, and still I am confused. However, I came up with a methodology. Now I'm going to read to you the blurb, the lovely blurb. Are you ready to find a love that fulfills you and honors your faith? The journey to a blessed marriage begins long before the wedding day. Can I Ask You a Question is your essential guide to navigating the crucial talking stage, providing over 150 powerful questions to help you uncover the true compatibility with a potential spouse. Grounded in Islamic principles and enhanced by psychological insight, this book empowers you to go beyond surface level attraction and discover shared values, lifestyle alignment, and mutual respect, the foundation of a lasting marriage. Master the art of communication, confidently address vital topics like finances, family dynamics, intimacy, mental well-being, and daily routines. Navigate difficult conversations with grace, learning to resolve conflict constructively and respectfully. Drawing inspirations from the Prophet ﷺ, peace be upon him, example, recognize green and red flags in communication, behavior, and emotional maturity. Gain clarity on your own needs and desires, ensuring you enter marriage with confidence and self-awareness. Make informed decisions aligned with your faith and values, setting the stage for fulfilling and blessed union. More than just a list of questions, Can I Ask You a Question provides practical examples, reflections, and actionable advice to help you navigate the complexities of finding your life partner. Don't leave your future up to chance. Invest in your marriage journey today. Start asking the right questions and build a foundation for love that lasts a lifetime. So, a lot of people will say, Wahab, what took you so long in creating a YouTube about your book? Look, it helped me, right? The way me and my wife got married was we sat down, I had these questions ready, I sat with her and I said, hey, look, my love, I don't call her my love then, she is my love now. Ooh, I love her. May Allah bless that. May Allah bless her and protect her as well for me. When I met her, I just said to her, hey, look, I'm very serious. I'm very serious. I do want to get married. I want to do it the halal way. However, I have this way of doing it. I don't want it to be a prolonged talking stage. I want it to be smooth sailing. I want it to be the way it should be, right? Informal, intentional, and straight. She said, that's fine. How do you want to do it? I said, look, I have questions. I have very, very long and deep questions that I want to ask you. And some of them are going to be, very, very, they're gonna stretch your mind. And that's the best way I can get to know you, because it doesn't matter whether we enjoy the same shows. It doesn't matter whether we have the same latte from whatever coffee shop. It doesn't matter if me and you have the same enjoyment with different things in life. It matters whether we are compatible with our values. And that is the most important thing for me, right? Where is your alignment in life? And does it align with where I'm trying to go to? She said, sure, let's do it. And she said, my guy, I also have questions for you. And I said, oh my God, it's her. She's the one for me. But yeah, look, like talking stages are very difficult because you're in week 1, then might be week 2, then week 3, then week 4, then you're ghosted. 3 months in, and now they're asking you silly questions. You're like, please, 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 right? So we're gonna go through my book. That's the alhamdulillah for the intro. We're gonna go through the book. So yes, so here are the different chapters. Hopeful. Because I realize a lot of people are giving up when it comes to love. Like a lot of people are essentially giving up the idea of finding a partner because look, it is emotionally draining constantly meeting new people, constantly having to tell them about your siblings' names and then getting blocked or getting something that's new nowadays, getting ghosted, which is so silly. Like just tell the person, hey, look, like thank you for your time, but we're not compatible. And it's also talking about that Allah's power, right? The power of the dua. Chapter 2, the importance of asking direct questions in marriage. A lot of people are not gonna, the results is I've now been invited to plenty of different nikahs of people who have sat down with somebody and said, look, I want to do it this way. I want to sit with you and directly speak about things that are important to me. And I want to get to know you and understand you and see what's important to you and see if we align with our values. Chapter 3 is the hopeful romantic. Look, I call myself the hopeful romantic because I do believe in romance, right? But I believe in romance in the right structure. You can only be romantic with somebody that you feel safe with. That's the reality. You can only be romantic with somebody who you feel you can be yourself and you can explore your own personality with them and that you can do anything and everything for them and you know that's not being used against you. Chapter 4, the case for timely marriage, upholding the prophetic way. I don't know when it became normal. I don't know when it became normal for people to kind of like be in long talking stages. Like for example, I spoke to my wife, I think a week before I knew I was going to marry her. I did a bit of research and I asked plenty of different married men and I said to them, hey, quick question. How long did you know before you knew your wife you were going to marry her? They were like, oh, like quite quick. The longest was 3 weeks. Obviously, girls is a bit different because we kind of know it immediately. You guys have to then find out if we are what we say we are. And I fully understand that. But men know immediately. I don't know if somebody's taking I saw a tweet that said if somebody's taking 6 weeks for them to know if they want you in their life, they don't. Silence is also an answer. Chapter 5, how to pick the right partner, a guide for Muslims who want to marry with intentions. I think this was the one thing that was very difficult for me, right? Because I'm such an extroverted person, I just kind of got along with everyone, which made choosing very hard because I was like, I get along with you and I get along with you. Then I realized, no, like it's not about how much you get along with them. It's not about the chemistry you have with people, which is what a lot of people go for, chemistry. Funny thing is, chemistry doesn't last that long. 2 years max, and you're gone. And now you're realizing, you know, the jokes that he used to make at the beginning are actually now kind of like piss taking. You know, she used to be like this at the beginning, and now you're like, oh bro, please. Chapter 6, why values matter more than chemistry in long-term partnership. I will always say this, values are what keeps people together. Do we believe in the same things? Even in the frequency of what we believe in, right? Chapter 7, 62, the most important questions to ask in a talking stage. There's 150 to 180 questions, almost 200 questions in the book, right? There's no point of going through all 200 of them muddled up if you're gonna find out in this stage that this person is not really for you, right? So I put 62 of the most important questions in combination of all the different topics and different headings in one place. And I'll tell you the truth, the average is gonna be 7. You're gonna go through 7 or 8, max 10 questions with somebody until you realize, goddamn, I do not want to speak to this person. Me and them are not for each other, right? Chapter 8, foundation of marriage, understanding family and upbringing, just basically how were you raised, you know, understanding, you know, whether they're the oldest, whether they're the youngest, whether they're the only child. Chapter 9, why financial transparency is crucial before marriage. Money matters. I don't know how I can say this more, but one of the 3 components of divorce, of high rates of divorce, is money. It's fine, especially for a Muslim family where we know the guy is supposed to be providing. Money does matter a lot. Chapter 10, the rhythm of marriage, why daily routines and lifestyle matters. Basically, a lot of marriage is mundane. Some people think they're gonna get married, suddenly start flying. I don't know how that's possible, but a lot of marriage is mundane, right? You need to be able to be happy with the mundane, happy with the daily rhythm of things, you know. Also, are you going to be going to bed early? Are you going to be going to bed late. All these things very much matter. Are you a health person? Are you somebody who is constantly going to the gym? Do you want to be with somebody that is constantly not going to the gym and does not care about the gym? Is that important for you? Is that something you can easily overlook? Is that non-negotiable? The lessons from the past, building a stronger future through self-awareness. Yeah, in this part, chapter 11, I promise you're going to find out how so many people have never asked themselves any questions, right? They've never really deeply dived into anything about their personal life at all. Chapter 12, mental health and well-being, building a supportive, resilient partnership. A lot of life is going to test your mental health. A lot of life is seeing how you can handle things. If you are with somebody who does not believe in mental health, which by the way, even somebody messaged me saying, hey, Assalamu alaikum, I will speak to somebody, and I said to them, hey, what do you think about mental health? And they said to them, mental health don't exist. I'm just saying, there are scary people out there in the streets. Chapter 13, mastering the art of communication and conflict resolution. I think, if I had to be honest, right, I think the most important chapters, or the reason, actually, it has been said that the most cited reason for divorce is communication and conflict. That is the most cited reason for divorce. In terms of a Western metric. In terms of my own metric, it's of what I try to do a lot of the research, it's a bit different because I work as a relationship coach, right? And I also really love the idea of love itself, but more so relationship. So I try to investigate different theories and in different ways, in so many different ways. Part of what I love to do is basically collect data and interview people and see how that qualitative data matches up against the quantitative data, but also see what sort of themes occur a lot, especially within the Somali community. As someone who is Somali, I do want to be the person that creates a lot of stats around being Somali. Right, around my culture, around my people, because we don't have that. And I feel like in order to manage something, you have to measure it. If you don't have any data, if you don't have any measuring stick with something, then you don't know how to even manage it, you don't know how to fix it, right? If we know this is the thing that causes the most divorce, or this is the thing that causes the most problems within our community, then we can educate people on that specific thing, and we can look for solutions for that specific thing. If we're just throwing things onto the wall and we don't know what it is that we should actually be tackling first, we will never get anywhere. Chapter 14, the language of love. Exploring physical intimacy and affection in marriage. Physical intimacy and affection in marriage is also another thing that is cited as one of the reasons for divorce. Because men and women, the intimacy is different for different reasons, right? We are not the same. What one gender understands as intimate, the other gender doesn't. Sometimes we might have taken ideas from movies and books and thinking, oh, that's the best way to be intimate. And not many of us have been taught how to be intimate whatsoever. And I'm not saying I'm an intimate expert whatsoever, by the way. I'm not saying I'm an intimate expert whatsoever. I just go to the people who are the experts and I just sat with them and I said, can you give me advice? I'm writing this book. Can you please help me with this chapter? And stuff like that. Chapter 15, Beyond the Spark, where shared values and lifestyle trump chemistry in building a lifetime marriage. Basically, I just wanted to keep honing in on values, right? Beyond the Spark, basically, I felt like a lot of people were doing this thing where they just kind of said, oh yeah, I love him, I love her. But I should get into acting, right? And they weren't looking beyond the surface of that person's behavior whatsoever. Chapter 16, final words, and obviously the book has all the questions at the end as well. So, let's go. Oh yeah, Quba Hayes. Acknowledgement, I love that masjid. First of all, I do look at this dua that my wife. Let's all put our hand up and listen to this and go through this dua. This whole thing is my wife. This whole thing. It's my wife. The first chapter, the first part of the book, it's a sentiment to my relationship with her, alhamdulillah, that the first part of my book is just her, right? My Lord Al-Wadud is the most loving. His love is the one I seek and I shall receive, inshallah. May Allah never test me with His love. I understand that to be loved by the Almighty is a privilege. His love is my favorite. I often think about those who live their lives without Islam, how they've never gotten to experience the warmth of my Rabb's love, how they seek love in empty spaces, but His love has always kept me full. Allah's love is infinite. There is no end to it. Love for His sake, always. Right? And I think it's testament to like the type of person she is, because I don't think people quite understand how important dua is. My wife said to me that from the time that she was performing Umrah, by the way, at this time, she was at Umrah and she said, I invite marriage into my life and the idea of marriage into my life. And so I sat down and I made plenty of dua. Like I was making constant dua. Constant dua. And she was not just making any dua. She was making dua to like the T. And she said to me, you know, something that really changed my brain chemistry. She said, you know, I made dua even to the tone of the voice. Like even how you spoke, I made dua. And she was like, you are not an accident. Like you didn't find me out of nowhere. I asked Allah and Allah delivered. I asked Allah and Allah delivered. So I think for me is like, I really want people to understand that the reality of seeking love without Allah is very harsh. It's very harsh, right? You have to be making dua and you have to be making such specific dua. And the whole chapter of being hopeful is to understand that Allah is the one that created the mountains. Allah is the one that created the universe. Allah is the one that created the sun, the moon, the stars and everything. Be and it is. So why is it that you feel like that Allah cannot provide you with a path? It's not beyond Him. It's not. Allah says to us all the time, I am as you think of me. Which means if we think of Allah as the best thing that of this universe, but the best to ever exist, and that Allah is always closer to us. As He says, I'm near to you always, closer to you than the drop of a vein. Then Allah will provide you with what you desire on what you want. And if He doesn't provide you in this life, He'll provide you in that. And if He doesn't provide you, like your no dua is gonna go unnoticed. And no dua, either Allah accepts it now, or Allah protects you from something, or He gives you something better. Right? Why would you then think that Allah is not going to give you everything that you desire? It's impossible. It's impossible. So why this book? So for me, like it's to understand that in the process of like asking questions is to not delay marriage, but also to verify the person's for you, right? Because it's my journey, right? I didn't write this book because I had all the answers. Like I wrote it because I needed them, right? And I was tired of the endless talking stages, and I was tired of the fact that we had no structure, we had no way to go about it, and I was in this murky water, and it was very difficult. So then after I came out the other side, I said, subhanAllah, like the method really did work. And it made my life so much easier. So why do I not explore this method a little bit more, refine this method a little bit more, and then share it with the people, share it with people that it will support them and it will help them. And so I'm here to teach you what nobody's taught me. I'm here to give you the information that I research and everything, and to arrive at a better situation for all of us, right? And these pages look like these pages, like they are testament to like, you know, everything, right? Because the problem is like, do you want to spend do you want to spend X amount a month talking to somebody to find out where they want to go 50-50 on bills, or don't want children? Do you want to spend hours on the phone, build a rapport, spending money, only to find out 7 months in the talking stage that they do not think they're ready? All these different things are very, very much like dangerous, right? Look, I understand that talking stages are very hard. They are. I understand that talking stages are really hard. They are. Like nobody is going to deny it, right? I just think that we're pouring psychological energy and emotional energy into places that we shouldn't. And we've made something very difficult that Allah made very easy for us. And we all have these concepts of what relationships should look like and how long a talking stage should be. And I want to say one thing to you. You do not know anyone until you get married, right? You do not know anyone until you get married. And that rings true. You do not even know your own family until you get married. Marriage just reveals things around you. The people who you thought like would be so happy for you are not upset that you're married. Like people who you thought would be upset that you're married are very happy and supportive that you are married, right? Even within yourself, like you start to discover things about yourself that you didn't know. Like you are this type of person. And it's because nobody pinpointed those behaviors to you beforehand. But marriage does that, okay? So I would say make your dua, pray your istikhara, do your due diligence, do your research, do your studies and everything, and everything else is more of like a what can you do about it, basically. And then we come here to the thing, right? Definition of love. I think it is very important to understand that, like, love is, for me personally, is not a feeling. Love is not a feeling, it's an action, it's an intention. Love is mercy, it's commitment, it's nurturing one's own or another spiritual growth. I used to chase vibes. I won't even lie to you. Now I chase values, right? That's how I got married, right? And so in the book, I was like, in order for somebody to understand where I'm coming from, I have to give them a set definition of what I think love is. We don't ever define that for ourselves, right? So, and in this chapter, I really went through the different understanding of what love was, right? For me personally, okay? So basically, my definition was from a book called All About Love by Bell Hooks, right? And she actually gets it from another book by Scott Peck called The Road Less Traveled, which is, in my opinion, this right here, right? So the will to extend oneself for nurturing one's own or another spiritual growth. Explaining further, love, he continues, love is as love does. Love is an act of will, namely both an intention and an action. Will also implies choice. We do not have to love, we choose to love. And in Arabic, the Quran frequently mentions love, describing it linguistically as a verb and not a noun. In the book, Bell Hooks, she continues further talking about love is a mixture of different ingredients: care, commitment, knowledge, affection, responsibility, forgiveness, and all these different things. And she says that in order for it to be love, it has to be a combination of these different things. It can't be one thing. It has to have everything. Yeah. She says that in order for it to be love, it has to be a combination of all these different things. And it can't be one thing and one thing alone, right? Because she's basically, in the book All About Love, is a bit, in my opinion, a bit too extreme. She says that you can't be, and by the way, I'm not saying I agree with this, and I don't agree with this. I'm just saying, she was basically saying that in order for us to believe in this definition, then we would have to understand that the love that we have received from our parents and from our friends and from our family wasn't love, maybe. Because maybe somebody gave you care, right? And they said, I love you because I care about you. But she's saying that's just one component of love. That is not love itself. In order to call it love, you have to have a combination of all these different things, which I somewhat agree with a little bit. But then she goes on further saying that this definition then will remove a lot of people in our lives and would understand that we haven't actually been loved properly at all, right? And look, for me personally, I do believe somewhat that you can't be abusive and loving in the same time. However, to also have such a black and white definition of everything is kind of a bit difficult, because it doesn't give room for forgiveness. It doesn't give room for opportunity of improvement. It kind of says you're abusive or you're loving. And for me personally, it works for me because I get to look at my character and I get to look at my behavior and say to myself, is the behavior that I'm having right now, is it nurturing or is it loving? Is it nurturing, loving, or is it being abusive, right? Is what I'm doing good in terms of a definition of love? Which makes it easier for my life, but to then say that definition should be widely across for everything is a bit too problematic. And yeah, to be fair with you, the reason why I also say people should be very, 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 very careful is because I experienced something called heartbreak. Now, my dumbass was asking for heartbreak the whole time because I kept saying, I want to know how heartbreak feels. I've been watching these K-dramas. I've been watching all these different TV shows and movies, and I've never felt heartbroken ever in my entire life. I've even seen my friends get heartbroken. I was thinking that I would love to know how it feels. And lo and behold, I got exactly that. I remember because I had met a person, I had felt quite smitten of them. And look, I don't whitewash my history. I don't change who I am. I learn from my mistakes, I learn from my past, I learn from my experience, but I don't whitewash them. And I don't remove my history just because I made a mistake or it didn't work out for me. I know a lot of people have that thing, but for me personally, no. Like, the reality of talking stages that are exhausting, you will get heartbroken. Sometimes it work out, sometimes it doesn't. And I don't like to, give people a false pretense of like, oh yeah, by the way, like once you do this way, everything's gonna be correct. But like, I was heartbroken at one point, and I remember I thought I found my person, and I remember one day when I was at work, it started raining in the office, but there was no rain, just my tears. I was heartbroken. I won't even lie. I'm not even gonna cap. I'm not even gonna cap. But at that time, it's when things started opening up for me. I was like, I feel this pain that is like very unbearable, but also how could I avoid it again? Because I shouldn't have gone to a stage where I gave myself to somebody who I wasn't married. I shouldn't have gotten to a stage where I liked somebody that much. Like it was really painful. And then I started thinking to myself, yeah, how did I do that? How did I get myself? And it's because I was in a prolonged talking stage. That's the reality for me. I'm so sorry. I'm just being honest, okay? I know a lot of people do that. People are not being honest. I'm just being straightforward and genuine about my own things and my own experience. Look, right? So I was thinking, okay, I know I want something pure. I know I want something that's long lasting, but this way is not correct, right? So I then decided, you know what? Let's go to the drawing board, because I would choose a partner based on Western values, thinking that's quality defined, like yeah. So I was at that time, I was just choosing a partner based on like whatever Western values that I was taught, basically. So I wasn't choosing anyone, like it wasn't a responsibility for me at that moment, right? And then when I started researching and really defining and going to fiqh classes about marriage, I realized, look, you're fulfilling an obligation by Allah. Marriage is a ibadah, and you have to be intentional, and you have to, you know, be very clear, and clarity. Like the way I always say things, clarity creates intention, which creates a direction, and it's just the best way forward, right? Like you have to reflect deeply in what you want in a spouse, and more importantly, what would Allah want me to look for? Who is a spouse that is going to bring me closer to Allah? Who is a spouse that's going to help me fulfill all my obligations, right? Who is a spouse that I want it to be my Jannah partner, right? You have to think, you have to be careful on who you're choosing. You have to be careful. Like, I don't know how many times I can say that, but you have to be careful. Like, it's no longer about can they make me laugh or whatever. It's, are they, in the eyes of Allah, a practicing person? Are they, in the eyes of Allah, do they have a great character? And in the eyes of Allah, do I have a good character myself? And am I practicing to the definition I'm meant to be? It's very important when you think about marriage Islamically that you understand that marriage is going to be a mirror. I promise you, your marriage is going to be a mirror, right? The quality you seek in a partner should reflect who you're striving to become. Choosing the person, not for potential, not because who they are, but because of where you think you guys will align today, tomorrow, and the day after. There's even a good, I heard a friend say, he said, look, if the person you're choosing today was not going to change for the next 20 years, would you accept? As they are. There was nothing about them was going to change. They weren't going to go up and they weren't going to go down, right? There wasn't going to get increase in more knowledge. There wasn't going to decrease in less knowledge as well. They were just going to be as they are. Would you be happy with that? And the answer should always be yes. The answer should always be yes. We as people will always develop, but we don't know how we develop. Okay, it can go up, it can go down, then go up again, and then go down again, go up again, because life is not linear, okay? Life is ups and downs, okay? It ebbs and flows, up, down, all the time, right? However, right, we need to understand that marriage is a sacred nikah, a contract with Allah. And it's not just, you know, as I said, it's not just about two people coming together. It's about creating a bond that pleases Allah. Allah should be at the forefront of anything that you do. It's your intention should always be with Allah. Always, 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 always. It should be prioritizing Allah. It should be prioritizing your salah. It should be prioritizing your hereafter. Okay. So once you understand that, then it does not make sense to get into a marriage that is for the sake of Allah within haram means. It does not make sense to chase people through haram methods and expect barakah. There's actually something I heard which is like, think of marriage having a barakah bubble, an allocated amount of barakah within your marriage. And you meet somebody and you get to talking, and every time you guys do something that's impermissible, pop, a little bit of that barakah is let out. Every time that you guys meet somebody or do something or say something that are impermissible, a little bit of that barakah is let go. Sometimes a lot of that barakah is let go. Now, it would not make sense to say, I'm doing something for the sake of Allah, but allow your desires to guide you. It wouldn't, right? It wouldn't. It wouldn't make sense. I can't be like, I'm going to pray salah, but I'm going to use alcohol to make wudu. It wouldn't make sense, right? So how does it then make sense that you could, like, you know and you understand that marriage is for the sake of Allah? Marriage is one of the forms of ibadahs, yet you do it through haram means. Yet you want greatness of it. It wouldn't. A logical person, a smart individual, an intellectual individual would not think to themselves, let me disrespect Allah and like expect things to work out in my favor. They would not. So you are an intelligent person, so you know what to do exactly, right? So yeah. So once you start looking marriage through the lens of how important it is to choose wisely, this person will influence your deen in a profound ways. A righteous person will uplift you, whilst an incompatible one could pull you away from Allah. Look, also, another thing is that people need to understand that marriage is a test. I know people romanticize it, but marriage is a test. It's about having somebody to go through these tests. It's about that. It's having somebody to go through these tests. It's having somebody that will support you there, that will be there for you, that will say to you, hey, look, this life is just nothing but a test. We are just humble travelers and we will have our ups and downs. And in life also, you will never have all badness, all goodness. That's not for this life. That's for the next life. So I think this chapter is now finished. Oh yeah, why do direct questions? The last part is, but yeah. So obviously, the part that I came to at the end was, now that I know that I'm meant to get married the halal way, now that I understand that, how do we do that? How do I go about speaking to people in a halal way